Of all the jams, that's the one I couldn't hang with the delay.
And once again, Jennifer couldn't be with us. Michael Myers is here instead.
Nice.
So I have to figure out what is making the delay noises and what is not. Can you guys hear me okay? Is this working?
It's a relative term, but yeah, I can hear what you're saying.
Hang on a second. Let me kill this. We'll kill this other device. There we go. There we go. I think. Okay.
Are these my ears? Wow.
Okay. You should be wearing headphones like me.
Yeah.
I'm hearing Jen's echo now for some reason.
Where did Jen go?
I don't know.
She left us. Oh well.
Well, we don't need her. Actually, she was never here. That was Michael Myers. She's probably toast. Right?
Oh crap. Yeah, right. You're closer than I am. You should. Well, you're in charge of the cameras. Nice.
Yay.
Oh, we can't hear you.
I said, I'm sorry I'm late. I got totally stuck.
Oh, there you are.
Nice.
I was getting ready and I heard all these weird noises, and so I decided to lock up the house and stuff because, you know, boogeyman.
I think somebody got to you. I think you're in shock and not quite realizing.
Shock from what?
Yeah. Look. Yeah. You got a head wound. Check it out later.
Oh.
I fell down on my bike.
I am Maxim. Remember how we talked about how cheap we are and t-shirts have to last? Years ago, I got this Frankenstein with which to sell merch at a house concert you did at Julie's. And I, of course, kept it because I got to get my money's worth out of a Halloween costume.
I found that thing bagged up in the back of the van like a year later. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yes.
I was like, what is this furry thing? And it was your Frankenstein costume. And I was like, ah.
It's too hot.
Technical stuff to deal with. And it's hard to
I'm
think.
abandoning it.
I had earlier.
What'd you say?
All right,
you have to choose, costumes that are, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think Frankenstein was much for the headset mics. This is complicated. You would think with all that hardware on his head, he could just install something.
Oh.
This is I had to get into makeup before the show.
No, I'm too hot.
That's what
wow.
Yeah,
right.
Hey,
I can't do my own strip thing.
Well, welcome to Outside the
Does that mean I have to remove this device from my head
now?
No,
yours is good. In fact, I think I have some headgear maybe. Yeah, okay. I'm just full costume change.
All right.
Do you guys remember Massive Head Wound Harry on Saturday Night Live, Dana Carvey?
Yep.
That was great. I remember the one skit where he's like kind of bent over a couch and there's a dog on the couch and the dog starts like pulling at the wound and he goes, he probably smells my dog.
Yep.
Ew.
Because, that's what you say when other dogs are sniffing you and that stuff. All right. Welcome to Outside the Inn. We are the Travis Larson Band. This is the weekly Q&A session. It is October 31st, and this is the 31st episode of Outside the Inn.
Ooh, that's weird.
right?
Right?
And it's a full moon.
Yep.
Yeah. So let's start with this. It's a full moon. It's 77 degrees out. It's the perfect day for Halloween. And I'm looking around going, damn, you know.
Yep.
But here's the thing. I went for a bike ride at 5:30 before dinner, and I went through the town. And I got to say, I really love our town. I'm not going to tell everybody what town it is, but this is the best town ever. So I went riding through all the neighborhoods and stuff, and at least one or two houses on every block had like those banquet tables we use for like merch when we're on tour and stuff, the big long folding tables.
Yeah.
And they just put them out, and they either made individual little bags of candy, or they had individual candies all spread out where kids could come by and grab a candy and keep moving. And and they were, and they in their yards, they were dressed up and stuff, but they were kind of back from the table and like putting on their little front yard haunted house shows and stuff. And I was riding through it, and it didn't stop. Like I went through the first, like just down below, where Jen and I live, into the houses there and those neighborhoods. And then I went down into the tracks, closer to the water, like where Craig Davis used to live. And going
Now
through
you're giving
all
people more information. They're going to piece together the town you're talking about.
they don't know Craig Davis.
Oh, I don't mean Craig.
Oh, where Craig Davis lives. Yes.
Talking about the tracks. Never mind.
Anyway, Kip is here.
I would just like to say, Kip says there's a full mom right now on the Central Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kip's got a full mom.
And then Kip had another, I don't know if this is something I'm missing, but let's try that gay moon. I think that's a typo too.
Let's try that gay. Kip, have you been hitting that peanut butter whiskey?
It looks like he did the thing where he tried to correct mom and it didn't let him, and he just hit mom again.
Right.
It's like, I meant mom.
By full mom, I meant mom. Right.
Maybe he's just sitting there going, Mom. Anyway, I went right into the neighborhoods. I went down even into like the rest of the neighborhoods in town, and everywhere there's people with folding tables out front with candy out there, and there's kids that are going around with their parents, like individually, and so it's not like it normally is where you see like hundreds of kids, but it was still like so awesome to see like people out there just trying to make some fun happen and still be responsible and all that stuff. So it was cool. And it was like such a perfect evening out there to do it. So
I talked to my sister, and she was talking about something where they had like chutes or tubes or something where they were going to be 6 feet long and slide them to kids into their bags. I don't know if that's a common thing or not, but they had.
Wow.
He was talking about it like, yeah, well, we got to go get our whatever sliding chutes or whatever, and like slide them into.
Okay, so if the pandemic taught us anything that we can take with us, it's candy tubes.
Right.
I vote for a candy launcher over just a tube.
True. If you could just shoot them with candy guns,
yeah,
they could get as much as they could just handle you shooting them.
Right.
Just individual starburst, pop.
When they scream "Uncle," then they're done.
Be like Happy Gilmore. Ooh,
yeah. So Glenn Hintzman's here. He says you did great last week subbing for Jennifer to Kip. He's saying that because Kip's in the chats. And
yes, thank you, Kip.
For a guy that doesn't like to be in front of the camera, Kip did fantastic. I thought
he did.
He does very well. He doesn't like speaking in front of people. He doesn't like being in front of the camera. He has, as we call it, a face for radio, and yet he still was fantastic. I thought so.
I was telling Jen, you were missed, but Kip did well.
Yeah. Well, we could just have him every week, and I could do some other stuff.
I already see who's the monster. Yeah. Frankenstein or Dracula. Is it too soon to start reading off who's the monsters?
Well, I've got enough. We'll spread some out, but
okay. Never mind.
But we could start with this one. Who's the man, Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees?
Well,
I'm going to
say Mike Myers, there's that scene.
Mike Myers,
He can
he's great in all those movies with Dana Carvey.
He can do a sit-up with 0 assist, just bending at the waist, like from you thought he was dead to just sits up without his feet coming up. Like that's a hot training move right there. Where you just
Well,
he seems more legitimately scary. You know, I would freak out if he was in my house right now.
Something I saw when I was watching the posts today, or was it the advertisements for some broadcasts or something that are going to be on television? I like I'm using the entire words. Television broadcast.
Television broadcast.
Like cathode ray tube.
Tonight there will be some special programming based on the fact that it's Halloween. And I didn't remember this. I think I've kind of been reminded it over the years, but the original Friday the 13th has Kevin Bacon in it. Does anybody know this?
Did not know that.
He said, I think he's the first one to go down. I think I could be wrong about that, but anyway.
No, I'm sure you're right. Don't take my confusion for any kind of legitimate input.
So, as far as so Jen, are you a Mike Myers guy? I kind of know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jen and I we used to binge watch the Halloweens like on Halloween. But here's the thing, Jen, you really, and I'm serious about this. You got to watch the last Halloween that came out like 2 years ago or whatever.
Okay.
You got to check this out. It's got what's her name back in it, and
right.
And they got the original Michael Myers. Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis is in it, and they got the original Michael. But it's not like those Jamie Lee Curtis ones that they did that were kind of lame, like in the like 10, 15 years ago, whenever they did those. They like totally. It's kind of like what they did with Rocky, where they wiped all the stupid ones out of the equation, and then just went from like the first one or two into now.
Okay.
And so they started out, and Michael Myers is in the insane asylum, and you actually get to see him and stuff. Like he, obviously you can't wear that. Yeah, like you can't be walking around the insane asylum with that mask on, right?
Right.
So what they did was they kind of took like Rob Zombie's version, which is, probably a little far over the boundaries in my mind as a purist, but they combined sort of the reality of that with the originals, and because they had John Carpenter actually doing the new one. And so he kind of said, okay, well, let's make this guy somewhat believable, but let's kind of base it also on the first one. So he's not like this giant guy that like a professional wrestler dressed as Mike Myers. Anyway, all that said, I'm going to say that I'm totally a Halloween guy because Friday the 13th, just too over the top, unbelievable.
So Friday the 13th, that's Camp Crystal Lake and all that. Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I will say I'm old enough, and I'm not a big horror movie. I like horror movies, but I know myself too well, and I will freak myself out later. So I kind of keep an arm's length with some of it. But I remember seeing there was a game-changing thing in one of those Friday the 13th, which was the lull you to sleep jump scare. That wasn't a thing. It was a genre-bending thing when that kid jumped out of that lake.
Oh, right.
I remember seeing that. I was sitting there in broad daylight with a friend of mine going, that was okay. And then that happened, and we were both like, oh my God.
Right, yeah.
Like you don't even realize now everybody's more hip to how you're being manipulated by the score and stuff,
Right.
Yeah. Back then, they're like, wow, the movie's over. There's sunlight. There's a cop. She's safe.
Yeah, right. Right.
I feel like I saw the first crazy jump scare ever.
By the way, John Carpenter, best like soundtracks ever, right?
Yeah.
But this was great when you talk about lulled by the soundtrack. This is the Halloween thing. This is all they had to do. Even simpler than Jaws, right? They go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like that was it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And then you're like,
yeah. I'll match you with one less note and one less rhythmic figure.
And how are we gonna? I mean, the next guy that's like groundbreaking that takes it even further. It's got to get even simpler. It's all about simplicity, right?
Yeah, people. I feel like people. There's actually like psychoacoustic, studies of how things affect people, and now we're getting pretty deep into that. You can be manipulated whether you want to be or not.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yep.
hey, just a quick like note of mention. Sean Connery passed away today.
Yeah.
And not that he didn't have a long, fruitful life. The guy did all right, right? But died at 90. And we're all still waiting for the next James Bond because it was supposed to be released like a year and a half ago or something. And they keep putting it off. And now they've put it off till next year. But similar to the Halloween extravaganza every year, it's always like Bond holiday season because they always release those around Christmas time. And they were supposed to do that, but they're not going to do that. But with that, they always release those, and then you get the Bond marathons on television, which means you get to watch, days and days of Sean Connery before Christmas. So when oddly enough, and I think I'm not alone here because I've been on the chat rooms about this, we're not nerdy people. We're just
telling yourself that.
Many people feel the same about like Thanksgiving, Christmas. Like if Bond isn't on TV, it ain't right, So anyway, when I think of Sean Connery, I always think of the holidays, oddly enough, because it's the Bond marathons, the 7 days of Christmas, the Thanksgiving Bond marathons, all that stuff. So so just a shout out to Sean Connery for
yes,
starting that whole thing and also just being awesome. And also big one when I was growing up, which you guys remember, is the Highlander movie. That was like a really cool one. That was kind of the first time when I was growing up, because if you remember right, Sean Connery did one more Bond in that 1980, I think, and it was like literally back to back up against one of the Roger Moore Bonds, but those guys are actually friends. But they turned it into this whole press thing that did nothing but help both their movies, because then everybody was going to the theater to compare the two movies. Who's the better Bond, right? But the thing is, so he was still Bond in like the early 80s, and the next thing I saw him in was Highlander. So all of a sudden he's like this, this warrior, immortal warrior guy. And it went from like that. So it's a pretty far stretch, because I had seen him the last time he had like kind of like this hair, and he was clean shaven. And then all of a sudden he was the guy in Highlander, and he stayed that guy until the day he died.
Right. Yeah.
Like all of a sudden Sean Connery was bald and had a beard, and he was still cool, and he was like this tough guy, but it wasn't like this super handsome, got like the perfect, jet black hair with some mousse in it,
Yep.
So anyway,
yes, yay, Sean Connery.
If it wasn't Halloween, we would have been playing some Bond music in the intro, but
right.
So we have some evidence we've talked before about the history of TLB, and again, not that we're nerds, but we actually do. People ask if we're like a real band. They don't really ask that, but I'm going to pretend that they do.
I'm mildly offended, I guess.
Right. This is like something that would be said in the news. Like, people ask if they're a real band. Anyway, no, they don't. But we are a real band to the point where we've actually we've spent many a Halloween together, getting completely over the top, like, because we have this gear I've mentioned before.
I think once your band leader says we are a real band, you're not a real band. If you have to justify it, it's off.
Right.
Sorry. Go ahead.
So we've got years and years of doing these Halloweens. Do you need a Band-Aid? So I'm gonna shoot forward, and then I'm gonna shoot back. But I'm gonna start with a little bit of video, just because at the end of the UFO tour, that was like the first time in 10 years that we weren't able to do a Halloween, and we finished the UFO tour in Portland, Oregon, and I think did you fly home, Dale?
From
Jen and I I think that was the tour where Jen and I did a clinic after, and then we drove back. I can't remember if you were with us. I think
After
it
the
was
UFO
just
thing.
yeah.
That's likely because the
Yeah,
starting
I
point
think
for
that
that was
Devin and
Cincinnati,
Matt
huh?
Boy took him to the airport.
Yeah, because we started in Cincinnati and Sam Ash loaned us the drum set and stuff.
Well, I remember Devin and Matt taking him to the airport after we finished playing a gig of ours in Tacoma at that one place. But I don't remember it.
I can't connect those two in my mind. Maybe that's true, but those seem different.
But for some reason, I don't think Dale was with us, but it was the first Halloween. Maybe he was. Maybe you were, Dale. I could be wrong. But we drove back from, we drove all the way. I think we stayed at like a Motel 6 south of Sacramento, but we drove for like hours and hours and hours. And it was Halloween. And we were during dusk, we were just like 100 miles north of Sacramento where those rest stops are out in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, like I say, it was a little disappointing because it was the first Halloween that we hadn't been home to do Halloween in like 10 years or something. But this is what Jen did the whole time.
Oh, what did I do?
When we were driving back, I'll show it and then I'll explain it.
Oh, I vaguely remember this.
Oh.
I remember this the perfect amount because I can't remember the visual, but
right. So you guys can see that, right?
Yep.
Let me make sure the sound is up.
We're at a rest stop in Northern California, traveling to the Bay Area. Today's a travel day. It's Halloween, and we're at a rest stop. Rest stops are scary on Halloween because, that's where all the dangerous stuff happens. Did you ever see Halloween 5, I think it was? Or was it 6?
See, I'm doing a Blair Witch thing.
Blair Witch thing, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Just lurking in the windows, waiting for people to notice.
Right. This was Jen's Halloween 2009.
That's good.
This is where it really gets fun because the truckers started to notice her.
Right.
And then they started telling each other about it.
Right. And we surmised that because we could tell they were watching for it.
Yes. They were starting to hold up like iPhones and stuff when we went by.
That's pretty good. I'm sure I was asleep in the back.
So that's probably the case, Dale. You're probably sleeping.
Could be.
So
I had a herniated disc on that tour. I was just in the back trying to stay lateral.
It was so pitiful and adorable though, because Jen's like sitting in the van and she's smaller than everybody else, and she's got a big mask on.
Yeah.
And she's just like looking out the window and we would go by. But then when we started going by, like I mentioned, we started seeing truckers like doing this. Like they were looking out their window as we came up before they saw us. And you could start to tell that they were getting on the CBs and like, you got to see this van when it goes by,
What's
and
funny
that
about
was
that
the Death Star too.
Yeah, that was the old van.
It's funny about that too, because externally you're having an effect on traffic that you can tell. And it's one of those cases where I actually had windows and I could see too. But inside the van, zero difference in the vibe. Just us sitting there, silent, nothing going on. but Jen's got a mask and looking at people, and we could see stuff going on outside.
Right.
Yeah.
So the way this developed, the very first big one that we did, and first of all, Jen and I, we played Halloween back in like 1990 or 91, something like that, at a garage party. Like, was it 90? I can't remember. 91 maybe. We played a garage party like down at like this house that's still there. And that was like the first of the Halloweens. And then we have these friends, Greg and Brandy, who are also, they're artists, and they live on 13th Street. And so we started doing, yeah, exactly. And Greg is as crazy as we are. And so we started going really big in like 1998. This is like after we got Dale in the band, we were just finishing up the studio. I think we had finished up the record, and the record was actually done in October 1998. So it was probably somewhat of a celebratory, let's just get together and be stupid, and we don't have all these worries. And so the very first one, oddly enough, which is as timely as today's headlines, ladies and gentlemen, was an Outbreak theme based on the movie Outbreak that came out, right? So let me see if I can easily find this.
Were you involved in those early on, Dale? I can't recall.
I was hit and miss. I'd make about every other one because you guys both had jobs you could schedule for early or whatever, but I was always working nights, and to me, working till 9 shouldn't affect your Halloween, but of course Halloween starts at 5 and 6, which was always hard for me to grasp. So yeah, I missed a lot of those. Sometimes I would sort of like get into the spirit and show up, and you guys just be winding down, and you know. But I made
when we would eat and hang out as just people.
Yeah, I missed this one, and this was a pretty epic one
because it was always quite a production, you know.
Yeah.
So by the end, you felt like you would just put on a play, and all the cleanup involved, and we would get there at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon and start setting up, and then everyone had to do their makeup and their costuming, and I mean, it's probably going to be hard to tell from the pictures because back then you didn't have cell phones and things. You had to use an actual camera to take pictures.
Yeah. I remember you guys had the white van. We had the white van as a band, and you guys had got sirens for it and made it into like a hazmat type, like a emergency response vehicle.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that, I don't know if this came first or us doing Starsky and Hutch came first, but we did have the red light cop thing.
We had the red light cop thing for Starsky and Hutch because that was like early 90s, or that was like 90 before the record. We were doing that before the record because we didn't have material. Right?
Right. You got some pictures?
Yeah. So this is, my brother worked at the time. He was doing outages as an electrician for Diablo Canyon nuclear power plant. And so he was able to procure us some paper suits, but if you guys can see behind us there, that's the garage, and we had like visqueen hanging down, and then of course all the people that were like exploding into, you know, a big mess.
Yeah,
are behind the visqueen. You see some trick-or-treaters back there. You see a guy wearing like some, or maybe a girl, I don't know, but wearing like some green shorts and like some wings. So those people are going up the stairs to the get trick-or-treated. And that's our friend Greg and our late friend Brad, who passed away years ago. But they used to do that with us all the time. And then that's my brother Gil, and he's the one that supplied the suits, which really helps because you can't have hazmat, outbreak scene without suits.
No.
And again, this is all based on the Outbreak movie from like the early mid 90s, whenever that was.
Now, I remember you guys telling me that there was a bit of an issue where the pre-Halloween dinner was chilly, and you guys were trapped in your own suit with your own odor.
Yep. This is true.
That's a perfect addition to the story, Dale.
I was just thinking that when I saw that suit, I was like, oh yeah, the chili. So I was not in a suit, so I didn't have as many troubles as the actual hazmat guys. I was an infected soldier,
right?
To keep the lines clear.
So there's the old Death Star, right? And we don't have a shot with the. We had basically like a big round fire engine light that was on the front top of this over the driver's cab, so it looked like a hazmat vehicle. We had smoke machines and everything. Obviously, that stuff doesn't really give you the full idea because it doesn't photograph well. But we took the PA and we hid it in the bushes, like the subwoofers from the PA that we used to play shows, and I had a sampler hooked up where I could trigger helicopter sounds as if there was military helicopters flying over, and it actually rumbled the whole yard, seemed like helicopters. And then we took a spotlight, like a stage spotlight, and we hooked it up to an oscillating fan, and we put that on the roof. And then with the smoke, the fan would oscillate, and the beams would be like searching around the yard while the helicopter noises were going. So if you came into this yard, it felt like there was a hovering helicopter with realistic helicopter sounds.
To me, that is the greatest meeting of artistic minds. The oscillating fan with the spotlight. It's two low-tech things, but there's a helicopter.
Right, exactly. And this is, can you guys see my pointer?
Yeah.
I do that? Okay. So that's me. That's Jen, who is, of course, the soldier who was there to control the pandemic, but then started getting sick herself.
Yeah, you can't see the huge bulbous thing on my forehead that I packed piles and piles of, what do you call it? The makeup stuff on there to make a big, huge bulbous thing.
Yeah, you could sort of see there, but not quite. Yeah. Wow, this is kind of cool. I actually have control of this. That's my brother checking her temperature.
Right.
And then back here, Greg and Brad. That was Brad's wife. That's our friend Brandy, who looks like a sick teenage boy.
Right.
And then this is, was this Melissa?
Yeah.
So anyway, that was like our neighborhood friends who were helping with us back then. This is the inside of the Death Star. Of course, I took all the equipment racks from the band and made it look like a control center for the CDC. So
perfect.
For some reason, the CDC has a bunch of audio equipment, but if you didn't know better, you'd think, yeah, that looks pretty legit, right? And you can see that I have a biohazard response team on the back of my coat.
Yeah.
And for some reason,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I feel silly commenting because I wasn't even at this one, but a theme through the years was there's a balance of how realistic to get, because at a certain point it transcends Halloween and makes people think something's going on over there. Like, I don't know if this, so that's always every year been a thing. Like, how realistic do you get,
Yeah. And my whole thing, of course, battling everybody else, was 100% realistic.
Right.
We should be as realistic as we could possibly be. Picture a Hollywood movie crew coming in with $1 million budget. This is what it should look like. And then everybody else that showed up that didn't quite go to that level made it a little less scary.
Yes.
Wow. And we were doing all of this on like a zero budget, dragging out Dad's old army jacket and the office desk chair, and but still.
Yeah. But there's an element of kids who are they're like, they want to see the scary places, but they see this and you can just see them, like, you kind of have to drop the pretense and go, come on, it's okay. There's not actually an emergency happening. Like, they're too scared to come closer than half a block.
Right. So, and there I am in the back of the Death Star from the back view. Now, interesting observation.
Yeah.
This is before the current pandemic. This was the first and only time I'd ever worn a mask like this until this year in my entire life.
Where did you find a surgical mask back then?
Right?
I know. I don't even remember where we got that.
You knew somebody who was a nurse or something.
Right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Somebody knew somebody. And those are scrubs I'm wearing too. Like, where did I get the scrubs?
I got those at the thrift store. Remember, I went thrift store shopping and found scrubs. Yeah.
Is that the deal?
Yeah.
Wow, that was no fucking around back then.
Yeah. So
for like $2, Mm-hmm. And we printed all I think I even, they used to have those t-shirt transfers you could print on. I think I actually put that transfer on the white coat.
Oh, wow.
Like, it wasn't just like paper stuck on the back of his coat. I did like an iron-on transfer, and we were kind of out of control back then. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. A little bit.
Larry chimed in. You're ahead of the times. He could dig this. Larry, you should come for Halloween some year.
Right? Yeah, Larry would totally be into this. Like, that again, the secret nerd society. Yeah. People kind of, you could look at us, kind of tell what dorks we are, but nobody can tell that by looking at Larry. But yeah, Larry's a little like one of us.
Yeah, Larry's got dork cred.
Right? Larry's got some dork cred. Yeah. So
what else you got?
So this is a mishmash. Actually, hang on a second. I've got a mishmash of some of the just overall regular haunted stuff that we did. I'm all leading up to my favorite year, which I think was probably the most convincing.
I think that might be one I missed too.
So this is a kind of a short overview of all the other years because I didn't have a ton of pictures. I do have a bunch of video I couldn't get because it was on analog tape.
Yeah, it was hard to find pictures because, like I said, they were photographs, and like.
Right. But also,
it's basically whether Jen was on that spot. Not like everybody has a camera. Or
Yeah, no, I was always the one taking the pictures, or me and Brandy, and that was it.
That was you.
And you had to get your film developed.
Yeah.
Stuff.
So we used to take.
There's some digital pictures in here somewhere.
I think one year, so when it really started getting, like we went traditional haunted, Jen and I did some research, and maybe this was on the internet because we were just starting to have the internet back then, but we figured out, when you watch all this stuff, you can't use dry ice because dry ice will kill people. But what you can do is we figured out how to get smoke to fall so that it would cover the ground in the yard and you couldn't even see it. And you'd just see headstones. And I don't really have anything that really gets that effect with flash photography very well. But there was a few years where what we did was we took a huge bucket and we drilled a hole in it. I mean, this is like how much work. And I think you found this, Jen, like you might've been the one that figured this out, but we took a hose from the smoke machine, put it into the bottom of the bucket, filled the bucket with ice, and the smoke would pour out over the top of the bucket and then stay on the ground and fill the whole yard with a low level fog that covered the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't have to
dry ice. It was the same effect. It's just so cold. It sunk to the ground because it was chilled. The smoke machine smoke.
Jen found that on the internet with her dial-up modem.
Yeah, exactly. It took me 5 years to figure that out. I'm just kidding.
Right. So this is like a kind of just an overview of what we would do. We'd have somebody lay in the coffin, and we'd cover the whole yard with ice, dry or with smoke at night, so you couldn't really see in there, and it would fill with smoke, and then they could rise out of the smoke. This is still daylight. This picture. This is when we were setting up.
No human in the coffin.
This was the vampire year, which I like this because I actually cropped it earlier today. Not this picture, but a version of it where this is actually us, like TLB as vampires.
My hair is huge.
And you can make it into its own picture.
Can you zoom that one in?
Yeah.
I made a widow peak for myself.
So
I had to look to see if that was me.
So that's TLB. And that was another thing. The flash photography really ruins it because we did a really good job. I had fine veins after watching the movie Vampire. And all that. Like that was the first movie where I was, Vampires, the one with James Woods, where the first time I saw veins in a guy's face. This is before the Tom Cruise thing.
I was going to say from a distance, it looked like Jen and I are more dialed in. But the thing is, from a distance, you had that effect. And then Trav, if you got close, he had like these really realistic teeth that was alarming if you were closer.
Right.
If you got close to me, you saw his blood plaster all over my face. But with Trav, you're like, whoa, what are those veins on your face?
Mm-hmm.
And that's our friends Greg and Brandy again, because we used to. This was all at their house. They were the 13th Street house. That's Greg. So you can see kind of even with flash photography what we would do with the smoke, but in the dark you couldn't see him in the casket. So it was he would just rise out of this smoke. And
then proceed to jump out and chase the kids all the way down the street. Greg and I had a really good system down. He and I were nuts about chasing the kids. So he would all hide either in the coffin or around a vehicle or something. And then we'd corner him. And so he'd kind of bring him around, and then I'd grab him from the other side, and then he'd reset and go to a new hiding spot. And then I'd cage him into that spot. And we just bounced these kids around all the way down the street till they were just running, screaming, flailing, and it was awesome. So they were,
I was thinking about that today.
We giving away a lot of candy because the kids would never go upstairs to get candy.
The parents, it was really for the parents.
Yeah, it was.
Greg is a little older than us, but more childlike and more energy and more physically resilient. He's just like indestructible guy.
He would crawl up in that tree in their yard and jump out of the tree. And just scare the hell out of everybody. Oh my gosh.
There's a brand of kid, like most of the people, they're rolling with the whole thing. We've got it planned out and they have a thrill. And then there's a certain brand of 14-year-old who comes in and goes, I know where you are. I see. They just trying to knock everything down. And maybe they're doing it for their own comfort, or maybe they're trying to be cool and just make it So that kid would just go and he would see me and go, haha, real scary. And then Trav would, and then for that kid, you'd see just Greg looking at him and just climb up this tree and he'd be like 12 feet up And that kid would be walking away going, real scary, guys. And Greg, I remember this one time, and you were standing a little way, Jen, and Greg jumps onto this limb, like crazy move, right? Like a stuntman, grabs this limb 8 feet high, just goes out of the tree, and the kid made a scream that was like a 9-year-old girl. He just went, ah! I can't even do it. It was so shrill, and you started laughing your ass off because he was an annoying guy. He was like the cool guy. I
was usually the foil. Like I probably distracted the kid enough to be like, so he was doing that to me, like, yeah, real scary, but I had his back. I would try to get him all distracted so that I was setting Greg up, and then I knew when Greg was going to pounce, and then I'd let the kid go, that kind of thing. It was so good.
It's ruthless. 45-year-old man drops out of a tree right next to you going, rah!
Yeah.
Okay, so Kip is watching, and he said that he brought 2-year-old Evan, Kip's son, who is now 200 and something pounds and like an all-star athlete. Yes. But he brought Evan to this Halloween, he says, and Evan asked to be in the neighbor's house. like you'd bring little kids and they would just stand at the street and they'd be like, no.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Okay, so this is
there's you and Greg.
Again, when it's dark, like the makeup with flash photography doesn't really do it, but you can kind of see, well, not really. It doesn't really do it justice, unfortunately.
Right. You were hyper realistic. I remember that.
Yeah. Like in the right lighting. This was, Jen and I did this is a bunch of pirates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But we did the fog pirates.
Right.
Yeah. So that's me and that's Jen, and we're the fog pirates. And again, this goes back.
Yeah. Right next to you.
Is that's Dale right there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it? Oh yeah. You're right.
So here's the thing about this, and Greg doesn't have his mask on for the picture here, but this is one of those things where, again, I'm going in, we're going to make it hyper realistic. We're going to be just like the seaweed covered, skeleton monsters from the fog. And then you got people dressed as pirates. And this is, but just to get like a bird's eye on this, like there's Jan.
Yep.
There's me. And we had this hair that or this kind of whatever, I'm not even sure what I'm holding there. I don't even know, but
an axe of some kind.
But yeah, this was that was a pretty happening.
I don't remember that hat.
Where'd you get a pirate hat, dude?
I don't know. Did I just have a pirate?
Oh yeah, there's Dale. That's an album cover, a solo album cover right there.
That's creepy.
Dale Moon Pirate.
Dirty pirate. Okay, next.
So that was pirate year. This was crazy clown year. Which
that was my biggest disappointment that I couldn't make that. I think this was my idea, and then I couldn't make the show.
This is not nearly as effective in pictures as it is in real life. But here's the thing. So I think that's probably Greg next to me, right, Jen?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So Greg went all out and got the expensive stuff. I went to the dollar store and I got a child's clown costume for like a 9-year-old. And then I got this creepy mask, and then I put on this child's clown costume. So it was very obviously a guy wearing a mask. You could see my face through it and everything. And I don't have any pictures really getting across how creepy a 9-year-old child's costume is on a grown man. But that's way creepier than you thinking it's a real clown in all sorts of ways that are very wrong. I just so you know.
That was the year too that they had that hydraulic. They had a hydraulic jump up thing because they Greg and Brandy are sand sculptors, and they often do a lot of kind of
animatronics.
Yep.
The animatronics fabricating within their sculptures, and they brought this thing back with them because he's like, I'm using this for Halloween. So it had this big thing, and he could control it, and it would pop up this crazy clown on a stick. It was really creepy.
Okay, now putting the full TLB effort into this, Jen, the real story is, remember, we went down and played the San Diego Street Festival and then went out of our way to go to the Orange County Fairgrounds to pick this piece of equipment up.
Oh, that's right. We did.
We spent a whole extra day going and getting this hydraulic thing so that we could have this piston that popped these giant clowns out of the bushes.
Right.
Like we went and had to find the manager of the because this is in the off season. There was no fair going on, but Greg and Brandy had this stuff stored there.
Right.
So we went there and so we had to take the Death Star into the empty Orange County Fairgrounds, find the manager of the fairgrounds, find the storage place where it was all stored. It was all shrink wrapped on a pallet.
Right.
I mean, we went through like a lot of effort to make sure that we could have clowns popping out of the bushes that year.
Right. Yeah, that was a big one.
And there's a full size.
Sorry, yeah, that's good. Yeah, Greg had a crazy thing where he had like hula hoops inside his elastic thing, and he would undulate.
Yeah, well, so when you moved, it would be like burn, burn. It was pretty creepy.
And we don't have any of the whole thing, but we took the entire band lighting system and took crazy colors like orange and red and green and stuff, and had it on a rotating thing in front of the house. So there were all these crazy multicolored beams, and then they had this like creepy calliope music that I want to say, did they get that from Oingo Boingo or something like that?
You know, it was that, I think it was maybe, but do you remember that band Kip turned us on to that does those cover songs all jacked up?
Yeah.
I think there was some of that in there. I can't remember. Kip, what's the name of that band? I would love to hear that stuff again.
I don't think you'll remember. We can't find it. We've looked all over the internet for it.
Oh, really?
I meant to give you a bunch of Mr. Bungle, which would have been perfect for that, and I just don't know if I managed to do it.
Yeah. But
John TLB asked what's in the glasses tonight, and so I have the Walking Dead Chardonnay, which I'm not normally a Chard fan, and then the Bloody Merlot. So that's what I got going.
I was going to say, and Anthony says blood, of course. That's what I was going to say. Well, right. Blood. What else would I be having tonight?
Wait, how do I get back? There it is.
Right, moving along here.
Oh shit, I lost my picture. Hang on. I lost the control ability to switch it, so I have to find it again.
I meant to say earlier, Larry said, shh, secret nerd stuff is secret.
Right. Okay, this was like a standard issue where we did a mishmash of all kinds of, Halloween characters.
Monsters. It was classic monsters, right?
Jen's a vampire there. That's our friend Jason, who is Jason.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If Jason's
I used to love doing the vampires because everyone else would do just the two little trickles out of the side of the mouth, and I'd go outside and just drink the thing of blood and then spit it out. So it'd be all over the front of me and all down my neck. It just made a mess.
Yeah,
but it looked awesome.
Like a real monster movie.
Yeah. Like you ate somebody.
Right.
That's where these are the years where I was Michael Myers.
And is that me as a Wolfman? I don't even.
Yeah. That's Dale as Wolfman.
Oh, I can't see. Oh yeah, in the dark there. That's hard to see. So that was all the famous villains of scary movies throughout history. And that's the pumpkin. That concludes the mishmash.
Oh, the monster mash.
Yes. And then my absolute favorite year.
Oh, wait, John says, hey, was there any puking at any of these parties? I got to say, in case Brandy's watching, it was notorious that every year somebody would puke over her balcony, and then the next morning we'd all go over and help her clean up.
I did it once. It was the Pirates year, I think, and there was that picture of me in the pirate hat, and I'm kind of like Greg. Greg had a good term for beer, which was acting juice.
Acting juice, right?
Make you less self-conscious. And when you're that hyper and you're running around, you don't really notice it. And I'd worked all day, and I
probably didn't eat anything.
Yeah, and I was running around, and I just drank so much more than I was aware. And then when all the excitement died down, I remember walking out, and you know that scene in I Love You Man where he goes projectile vomit. That's a thing. That was me. I just went. It was the weirdest.
This is my band trying to give us rock and roll street cred, because when you say we all went over to clean up the mess the next day.
No. Here's how non-cred I am. I taught the next day. Felt fine, by the way, because I projectile vomited away all of the ethanol. But So yeah, it got out of me. And then, but I just remember it. It was ridiculous. And I was teaching the next day and feeling miserable about doing that. And I called Greg and Brandy, went, "Hey, you guys, I don't know what to say. I gotta come." And of course they're morning people, and she had already cleaned it up. I'm like, "That's not okay. I'm so sorry. You should never." Like, that's how non-rock and roll we are. I was like apologizing. "I'm sorry. This is terrible. I should come fix this." But it was in the yard. It wasn't in the house. It wasn't on the deck.
It was in the yard. It was in the dirt. Anyways, that's why Brandy doesn't do Halloween anymore. She doesn't want to clean it.
Because of me.
Not because of you. I know everybody's done it. She's like, "Yeah, you haven't puked at my house. You haven't." Well, of course, she's
the irony is that I would be the method actor of the bunch, and I'm stone cold sober and straight in every way possible. But I want to do this like as well as we can do it,
Right.
Like, I'm like, no, you are Jason Voorhees. You know what I mean?
I gotta tap into this. I'm gonna go.
Yeah, right. Feel it. Find the motivation. Real quick, I'll show this too. Just I posted this today, but without the close-ups and the pictures, it just wouldn't have the same effect without me like sharing this. So this is the mutant hillbilly year, like Wrong Turn, those kind of things. So this is us jamming.
I didn't do a good job of staying in character. I was laughing.
Up next, Steve Vai.
Gotta love Facebook, right? So I didn't see the stills of this until Jen found them and sent them to me yesterday. I mean, I've seen them back when we did that. That was 2013, I think. And I think that might be one of the most effective, seriously, like realistic.
You didn't find any of the Looney Bin ones or the One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I did a full bald cap that year. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Oh my God. And I borrowed my dad's karate gi and put it on backwards for a straitjacket.
Yep.
That one was really intense. Putting a bald cap on was really tough.
Yeah, Jen looked like a 5'4" little like she also had the teeth, like the messed up, mangled.
The teeth you'll see in this next yeah. And then the one year, in Johnny Zombie ones, we did zombies all the time. And that one year I put so much of the plastic stuff on my face and it wouldn't come off. Remember that? It was ripping my skin off. Yeah. Oh my God, that was awful. Anyway.
Well, Jen's MO would be like, she would do something in like the worst possible recovery way possible. like she would, instead of like going and getting something removable, she would just like, I'll get rubber cement and paint it all over my face and mold it into stuff.
Right.
And then later she's like, ow, snap, ow, snap.
It's all coming off.
So, but this one is, I'd say as an overall band, this was probably like one of the most effective, as far as just realistic and the whole deal. But here, hang on. Okay, so I mean, this is really something. I'm pretty proud of this. This is the Mutant Hillbillies.
Okay, yeah. Were you like a Leatherface?
Oh yeah, I don't have pictures of that. So here's the thing, people that are watching this, we got to where we did this so much that we kind of stopped documenting it, or it's documented on video, and it's video. We had one of those VHS-C cameras and it hasn't been transferred to digital, and I don't really have a way to do it. We have a lot of video of this stuff, but we did Texas Chainsaw Massacre one year, and I was Leatherface, and I was like more of like the modern Leatherface with my hair stringy and wet and down with the Leatherface mask and the full, like, you know, the whatever you call those things, like, you know, like the schmuck.
Yeah.
And I had taken one of those old Akai samplers that Jen and I always talk about, and I had sampled a chainsaw. And so it was from the point of rev to a solid tone. So it went and just did that. And I could actually, with a pedal with my foot that no one saw, I could hold a real chainsaw that was turned off. And I had a smoke machine behind me. So it was like the chainsaw was smoking. And then I could rev it with my foot sound wise. So we had PA speakers hidden in the yard. And so we'd be like chopping, you know, at people on the driveway. And I'd be going, wow, 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 wow. And I'd hold it above my head and shake it like Leatherface and all this stuff. So it was a real chainsaw that was not dangerous. We had like all this clear tape over the danger, you know, over the chain and everything. But it sounded exactly like a real chainsaw running, and there was smoke coming out of it. So
I like how you didn't remove the chain; you just put tape over it. but yeah, it's true. And one other thing I remember was you were behind like a clear shower curtain, so it was a little hard to make out what was going on. It was a really interesting effect where in real life you were still trying to make out what's happening, so you're focusing the way like a movie would draw you in, and then all of a sudden you're like with a super loud sound. I feel like you even had like I might be mixing this up with a different year, but you even had an air compressor so like they could feel the exhaust of it or something. But maybe that might be a different thing.
Greg did that with something else on another. That might have been a clown where he was just spraying people with air.
Yeah,
you know?
You feel like spiders on you.
Yeah, we had, well, no, it was just so hard. You know what a compressor is? Like it's like, psst.
And it's scary if you're not.
Yeah, if you don't know what's you're getting hit with, and it's just air. You know?
And you hear a sound, and then you feel something.
Yeah.
So this is some pretty disturbing stuff, though. This is what I just showed you guys with the jam, but this is what Mutant Hillbillies really looked like the year that we did Mutant Hillbillies. And so this is me getting ready in Greg and Brandy's bathroom, I think. Like this is this is really disturbing, right?
It is. That's no good.
And Jen's really, I mean, you would think, you look at me and you go, can it get any more disturbing than me? Like this guy here.
Oh my God.
I mean, that's pretty awful. I actually, those are Jen's goggles, and I stole them from her for this picture. I remember because I thought I looked so much like the gyro pilot from Road Warrior. Again, nerd reference. So, but that is like some wrong stuff.
That's wrong.
Yeah, but it's not as wrong as that.
Dale.
That is pretty wrong, my friends.
I remember this one because I sort of phoned this in. I was like, hey, you guys, I had to work later than I thought. Is it worth coming over? And you're like, come on over, we'll throw some stuff on you. But you guys were insane.
Yeah, this is like, I mean,
I was trying to build up a bunch of scar tissue on my face. Hard to see. You can't really see it. Some of those details really got lost in the nighttime, you know, of course. Yeah.
Larry Mitchell says, oh my.
This is like, this is almost like Mutant Hillbilly Adrian. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Am I right, people?
What did you say?
I said it's almost like Mutant Hillbilly Adrian.
From Rocky.
Yeah. We did it, Adrian.
Don't do it for the money of me.
That is just so wrong. So this is Jen and I rehearsing the jam, getting ready. And this is daytime, so you can see just, you know, it doesn't look like it looked at night, but we had a barbecue back here. We had a bunch of red string lights in the barbecue, so you could turn those on at night, and it looked like it was fire. It looked like it was hot. And then, I mean, this is like so wrong, but I have, for some reason, Jen got me a cot of ears.
Ugh.
I have this leg, by the way, and this hand. This hand, by the way, is the hand is on a set of handcuffs because, of course, I was escaping and I had to get away somehow, right?
Yep. What choice did you have?
But these limbs were at the dollar store. That's why it was so magical.
Yeah, right.
You know what is so weird about those limbs, particularly the hands? Do you remember this? They have fingerprints.
Oh, weird.
There's fingerprints.
They're real hands. Like they mold somebody's hand and they put them out there.
And
That's
that was just so creepy to me. I was like, yeah, like,
Well, the joke with us was always like, what if we did a crime and we used those hands, right?
I know.
Like if the FBI looked into something and they found those fingerprints, there's some hand model that lives in, wherever hand models live, right?
Chuck
Yeah.
says Travis looks like a real bad Neil Young. He also, by the way, this was a good quote. He said, "When the going gets tough, the weird turn pro."
Who said that?
Chuck Triple Piece.
That's pretty good. Yep.
It is.
Right?
Oh my God. All right. There he is again.
Oh
that's
my
my
God.
that's my favorite.
Yeah. That's really
You got to
something.
decompress after the whole night and hang out with this guy.
Right.
Yeah.
And we would always have chili, like Jen said, every year, like super hot chili.
Yeah. Those just adds to the flavor. All right.
So that's
Thank you for sharing all of the Halloween extravaganzas over the years. I wish we had some of the zombie ones and stuff, but
yeah,
no, whatever.
So we were gonna do an hour tonight in case anyone actually had Halloween activities they needed to do. But before we go, let's hit just a couple more. I have some specific Halloween Who's the Mans, and they wouldn't be any good any other time. So
right.
So we already did Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees. Michael Myers was the winner. Talking about real human beings. And by the way, this reminds me, give a shout out. So a month or so ago, I did that 1 minute jam with Jen Majira. Everybody should go check out today's 1 minute jam with Jen Majira. Right, Jay?
Yeah.
You want to tease anything, or should we just go check it out?
Well, Jen Young has seen it, but it's just go look up Jen Majira's YouTube or Facebook or any of that stuff. And
Right.
she did Thriller, and she went so big you can't really follow it.
Okay.
I mean, it's like so big. It's like almost. I mean, if it was 6 minutes long and not 1 minute long, it would just be the video for Thriller. Like there's that many extras. It's
Wow.
it's crazy. But in the idea of Thriller and that tradition, who's the man? Vincent Price or Bela Lugosi?
Wow, I almost came up with a similar one. I'm just more familiar with the Vincent Price, and it's so etched in my memory from that song. So I'm just gonna go that.
Yeah, right.
But I respect the other one too.
Bela Lugosi had the creepier voice, oddly enough. I always thought after hearing Bela Lugosi as a child coming up, and then Vincent Price. And the first time I ever saw Vincent Price, you guys all remember Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, on Sunday afternoons.
Mm-hmm.
At least us in California do. I don't know if that was a national phenomenon or a West Coast phenomenon.
County phenomenon. I was too cut off from civilization.
But Kip says, Tara says Vincent Price. Tara is Kip's wife. But Bela Lugosi might be a little before everyone's time. But Vincent Price, I remember going, when I grew up, Vincent Price was already being imitated by Mike McKeon, who is, of course, the lead singer for Spinal Tap, and Lenny on Lenny and Squeaky from Laverne and Shirley.
Right.
Like he used to do those impressions on Saturday Night Live and stuff. And I think he did some on SCTV. So Vincent Price wasn't as creepy to me because he was already being made fun of. But were you about to say something, Jen?
No.
Okay.
I had another Who's the Man, but you said you had a bunch.
Oh, I've got one more, so go ahead.
It just popped into my head. Speaking of older cats like that, we might have done something like this before, but Alfred Hitchcock, Orson Welles.
Again, I think it's a generational thing, right?
Yeah, but they're pretty sort of similar in generation.
Are we talking creepy? Because Orson Welles wasn't really a creepy guy. Right?
He was a creepy guy.
As far as the movies he made?
Huh?
As far as the movies
War
he
of
made?
the Worlds and stuff, right?
Right.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Freaked out a whole generation for real.
That's true.
Yeah, like for real. Like.
Yeah, so I'd say it's a generational thing because obviously my generation, I'm going to go with Alfred Hitchcock because that's more what I'm exposed to. Yeah. I just watched The Birds like 3 weeks ago on TV. It was on. And I always put it on because, we live on the West Coast and that town hasn't really changed a whole lot. that that schoolyard or that school is still there. The like the bay hasn't really changed much.
Mhm.
There's a lot more, obviously houses in the peripheral, but okay, here's my last one, and this is it's a loose who's the man, and we may have done this before, but I'm going to do it for Halloween. Who's the man, Munsters or Addams Family?
I never had TV during this time, so they're almost the same thing to me. So I'll pass. They're blurred together.
I don't know. Like, I used to watch the Munsters as a youngster. But as I got older, I appreciated the Addams Family more, I think, because the humor was a little more refined and sophisticated, so I don't know. That's a little bit of a tough one. And the Munsters were more like slapstick stuff, which I very much appreciate. So I don't know. That's a tough one.
I'm 100. I mean, I watched the Addams Family. I do appreciate the Addams Family. I appreciate, I saw the movies later, the remakes, all that stuff. But I did watch the Addams Family. But I'm 100% Munsters because I love the idea of them being real monsters from history, like the actual monsters, and,
right.
and the actual monsters all living together in this house, but they're not really scary. Like it is Frankenstein and it is Dracula. You know what I mean?
I like that you're affected by the legacy. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, I love the fact that Herman is actually Frankenstein,
Yes. Right,
like,
right.
That's
That is
great.
good.
That's fantastic. Like those guys all lived forever, and now in these times, or in the 60s anyway, they've kind of socialized.
Right. They're domesticated.
Right.
I listened to a whole podcast.
Someone asked if I had a joke. What was the mummy's favorite type of music?
Rap.
Oh.
Oh my God. Nice. That's the first time one of us has gotten the joke.
All right, I have one more. How much does the heaviest skeleton weigh?
Don't tell me. How much does the heaviest skeleton weigh? It's skin and bones. I don't know. How much does it weigh?
A skeleton.
Nice.
So bad.
Sorry, these are the jokes, folks. All right. I
listened to a whole podcast the other day about the guy who made Monster Mash. I think his name's Bobby Pickett, but I just came into my head. I can't remember what I was listening to, but it's this whole thing where he came to, Hollywood, and he was going to be an actor and musician. He was like a triple threat, but then it's a classic thing where his goofy song took off more than the rest of him, and that's all he's ever going to be known for.
Oh man, right. I just saw Tenacious D posted the Rocky Horror Picture Show. What's that? I'm totally spacing out right now. He did a version of the song from the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah. Time Warp.
Thank you. Yes. With, what's his name? It was pretty good. And a bunch of the cast from the movie and stuff. It was good.
I don't know if this is, I don't know. I was playing a gig with a singer who also is an actor and loves Halloween, and she was doing a Rocky Horror thing. And I remember feeling like, I always remember this phrase she said, because I was tired at the end of the day and I'd played 2 gigs that day. And she's like, and she had a midnight thing of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And I was going, man, 2 gigs today. I'm burnt. And she was like, I'm so tired and I'm sick and I've done 3 gigs today. And now I got to go dance and sing and fake fuck.
Oh my God.
And I was like, wow, I'm never going to complain again.
Who said this?
It was just a singer I was playing. I just thought it was a great quote. You know who it is, but I'm not going
to. Greg said, how can you tell that Frankenstein's monster is a dickhead? Don't look at the comments.
I saw it already.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
His nuts are on his neck.
Okay.
All right, kids.
All right.
Halloween starts at 8 o'clock on AMC, and that's 11 minutes ago.
What is?
Halloween.
Oh,
At least on the West Coast, on Sling TV, which is the cheap cable. Everybody, I hope you guys are doing okay out there. Thanks for spending our Halloween and all our hotels, all our holidays with us. Holidays are all landing on Saturdays this year. Thank you to everybody that came to the live stream concert last Wednesday too. We survived it. Whereas a few technical mishaps that Jen very creatively somewhat hid from the world. So it's still up if you guys want to go check that out. All the Support Travis Larson Band links are in this description to this webcast. We do have the Webcast merch thing now that's called the Artist Shop, and that has t-shirts for and all kinds of hoodies and stuff for the Outside the In show. And we're going to be eventually adding to that, I think, shortly as we get close to the holidays. Yeah, I don't know. What else? Happy Halloween.
Yeah, happy Halloween. Thanks, everybody. It's good.
yeah.
Y'all. Sorry I missed last week, but
Good to have you back.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe we should have Kip on more often.
Right.
You're saying that because you don't want to do it.
No, I'm just saying he's just such a lovely man. Oh, hey, I got a motorcycle.
What?
Oh, I
You're just
didn't
bringing
tell
this
you?
up now? You're either going to
Sorry.
have to explain
We'll
this to me
talk
for an
later.
hour, or it's
Talk
going to be the whole
later.
next episode.
Okay,
Oh
we'll
my
talk
God.
later. It's from Kip. Okay, happy Halloween.
That was sort of based that Hot for Teacher is sort of based on the sound of a Harley Davidson engine, you know.
Okay.
Anyway, wow, that's
Nice.
fun. Congratulations.
Thank you. We'll after show.
Okay, Travs. Let's see if you can handle it.
Bye, everybody. Boo.